City Firehouse today as the Navy released his service records. He was awarded 17 medals and commendations as a naval airman and prisoner of war. But that is nothing compared to his roommate at the Hanoi Hilton, Colonel George Bud Day, the most decorated serviceman since Douglas MacArthur. He spoke to us at his home in Florida.
The Medal of Honor, Air Force Cross, Distinguished Service Medal, Silver Star, Legion of Merit, Distinguished Flying Cross, Bronze Stars, Air Medals, Purple Hearts, Combat Engagement Medals.
He has more than 70 medals, a living legend. He was blown out of the sky 2 months to the day before the North Vietnamese shot down a propaganda prize, whose father and grandfather were renowned American admirals.
So they told me that we were going to get a roommate, and it was going to be the Prince. So I asked my...
That's what they called him?
They called him, the Vietnamese called him the Prince. So I asked my nurse, what was his name? He said, John McCain.
He was brought in on a stretcher.
I took one look at him, and my brain instantly said, it dropped this guy off on me to claim that we let him die. He was just emaciated, very, very skinny, in this awful body cast, just filthy. I mean, you could smell him for 25 feet.
They were held sometimes 5 to a cell, barely big enough for 2.
Had this very gimpy knee where he busted his knee. This arm had been fractured in a couple of places. He'd been bayoneted to the leg. This arm was out at the shoulder.
They were tortured mercilessly.
They roped me under the arms, tied the rope back here behind my back, ran another rope to that, got me up on a chair, threw that rope up over a rafter, jerked the chair out from under me, and your own weight just tears your body apart.
Day's broken arm was rebroken during torture so he would never fly again. McCain played physical therapist.
John said, well, we'll gather up some bamboo, and he was in a bandage on his leg at that time, so we got some little strips of bamboo about that long and about half an inch wide, smuggled them into the room. John put his foot in my armpit and pulled on my wrist so we could get the bone forced back down.
But nerve damage was extensive. His crushed hands were useless.
John would pull my fingers out straight, but they would just instantly recurl. And finally, one morning, I had just the slightest bit of movement in this hand, finger, and we both cried. Tears started running down my eyes. Tears started running down John's eyes.
McCain's injuries left him unable to lift his arms above his chest to this day. The enemy offered their celebrity prisoner early release. When McCain refused, he was tortured more.
By any humane standard, John would have been a perfectly good candidate to release early because there were a number of people who were just enormously injured like him. But that wasn't in his playbook, and he also wasn't in his playbook to die.
In fact, he quickly became a leader.
I asked John if he would be one of my preachers. He said, sure. So he had a great handle on the Episcopalian liturgy. He could just repeat it verbatim.
But repeating what he went through is something McCain almost never does as a presidential candidate. Day thinks he should.
I've never seen any shortcomings or any shortfall out of him talking about that, but he just doesn't trade on that. I think he feels that it's just wrong to try to trade on being a hero, but he is.
In Fort Walton Beach, Florida, Carl Cameron, Fox News.